Good day, good day, good day. Welcome to another video. I've just received my second shot today, my second COVID shot today. So if I sound a bit slurry and everything more than I normally do, it's not because I'm drunk. It's because apparently my speech is slurred. I'm going to try and not make it slurred. Anyway, back to Jochuan. So last time we spoke about the roommate and the room. There's another story coming up with regards to the roommate and everything. But yeah, so let me just remind you, it's in the beginning of February, right? It's cold, but not cold as I'm used to. They're saying it's winter, and I'm like, this ain't really winter. Like, I'm wearing my hoodies and everything, all South African made hoodies. So it's essentially, for those of you who don't know, the hoodies in South Africa that's made does not necessarily, 90% of them don't keep you warm, right? And that's basically my hoodies. They never kept me warm. So we've went to bed that night, very happy, that first night. The second morning I woke up and man, I wasn't, a lot of people were like, oh, we're suffering from jet lag and everything. And I did not. I was sluggish, yes indeed, but I did not necessarily suffer from jet lag as much as the other people did. And there's a theory behind it. A friend of mine whose family is originally from South Korea, he told me once that, and this is why while I talked to him about it, when I talked to him about it, he told me that the country that you belong, you'll never get jet lag there. If you fly to that country, or if you fly back to that country, whatever, your jet lag is almost minimal. Probably a psychological thing, but in this case, I feel it was true. So I didn't have jet lag the next day. I was tired and sluggish, but not like, oh, I'm going to sleep the next day. Because what the lectures and everything said was, hey, if you feel tired, just go back to bed. And I'm like, yeah, no, fuck it. I'm in Korea. I want to see everything. So we get divided into our respective classes, and oh crap! Now I forgot his name. I have to look at. Oh yes, Mr. Kevin. Mr. Kevin was our homeroom teacher. Man, it was amazing. He was probably the best. He's like your typical. I would say your typical. I won't say your typical American Korean. American, but he was like, I saw him and I'm like, man, that guy could be in a movie. You know, he could be in a movie. He was very excited and very happy to have us there. So we do roll call in the morning, and he comes to my name and he says it, and he pauses for a few seconds and he says, Goeiemorgen. And I looked at him, I'm like, holy balls, he said hello to me in he said good morning to me in Afrikaans. And I'm like, whoa, much respect. And yeah, he was freaking amazing. He made us, or at least me, feel right at home. He made me feel, I think that was the purpose of all the lecturers, but he made me feel safe, you know. And you know, we started our first class. We went there, and I think we started with orientation. We went to a bigger hall, and then went to our respective rooms, and then we continued on with our respective home rooms, and then we continued on with our lessons. And man, let me tell you this: for someone at that stage who's been 10 years out of school, 10 plus years, about 14 years out of school, it was difficult. It was difficult. I sat in most of those classes going, oh, I just want to get this over with. And I'm like, and it's not because it was boring. It's because, well, essentially I'm sitting in the classroom again. So I'm sitting there going, and everyone around me is like taking notes and they're engaging. And I'm sitting there going, what's the least amount I can do to just get this passed? I mean, I'll remember these things. I'm old enough to remember these things. I don't need to take notes. I'll remember these things. That bit me in the ass later on. We'll get to that. And we went ahead and went through our first 2 or 3 days. And you know that previous photo that I showed you where I went like this and I was a fat fuck? It started snowing on the morning, or during the evening of the 9th / the morning of the 10th of February, 2014. And my roommate, and I'm going to tell you the other story about him now, because that morning he woke me up. But let me show you. Those clothes aren't warm. I'm wearing a t-shirt underneath. I'm wearing 2 t-shirts. The hoodie, the pants are there, the shoes, it's South African made. Okay, but that was the first video or first photo that of me in snow, which is freaking amazing. But anyway, so that morning, just before he took the photo, I'm like, oh my Lord, it's snowing. And he's like, do you know you talk in your sleep? My very flamboyant roommate. And I'm like, I do. He's like, yeah. But he's like, I never heard someone laugh and joke in his sleep. I'm like, holy crap, what did I say? He said, I can't remember, but you were literally laughing. And that's when I realized, coming back to the previous video's message at the end, that I was truly happy in Korea. A couple of times after that, while I was sleeping, like in my own apartment or whatever, I'd literally like laugh and wake up from my laughter. And then I think about the dream and I find it funny and I laugh some more, turn around and fall asleep. Maybe a bit crazy of me, I don't know. But yeah, so when he said that to me, I'm like, holy shit, I am actually happy. I am actually happy. And it was amazing. And we went through classes every day from what? I think it was, we had to wake up. I think we had to be in class by 8 or 9. I think we had to be in class by 9. We had to have breakfast before 8. Or we had to have breakfast at 8. So we had an hour of breakfast and then we had to go to class. So it's quite early mornings, So that didn't help with most of the jet lag that the other people experienced. It might be earlier, though. I think we started at 8. I think they tried to get us into a sleeping pattern of you're going to school, so you need to wake up earlier to get to your school. So I think breakfast started at 7. At 7, and then classes started at 8. So you had an hour to eat breakfast and everything. I didn't miss one breakfast. And another quick story, there was someone from Australia with Vegemite the one day. And she was like, and I look at this and we've got something in South Africa, similar in South Africa called Marmite. And I looked at it and she's like, oh, taste this. And all the Americans and British people and everybody not from Australia is like, ooh, that's salty. And I look at it and I look at her and I'm like, may I? And she's like, yeah. And I take a clean knife and she's like, not too much. Take a clean knife, take a bit on the tip of the knife and I lick it. And I'm like, cool, put the knife away. I'm like, hey, can I get some of that on my toast? And she's like, what? And I'm like, yeah, I'm from South Africa. We've got the same stuff. She's like, what? I'm like, yeah. Sprayed some of that Vegemite on toast. It was nice. Brought me back to like when I was 6 years old in South Africa at that stage. And it was quite cool. Freaked everybody out. Even the Australian. But that was quite cool. And that was my Jochiwan experience mostly every day. I'd randomly go out on nights and buy myself a beer and just, you can drink in public in Korea. So I'd go to a store down the hill, buy myself a beer, drink it, and before I get to the university, I'd just throw it away. I didn't drink a beer every day. I'd say like maybe every third or fourth day. I just went out by myself and they're like, you don't have time. I'm like, I have time. I'll be back before 8. And I'd be going down and drinking, Also made some cool characters and in the next video, I'll tell you about the cool characters and the stories I have of them, which may or may not include someone singing the national anthem with me while we were drunk. But that is a story for the next video or two. So until then, you should have a good one.